Hey, Magic is Real listeners. I'm so happy to have you here today. Today's interview with Dennis Bullock was one of the most powerful I have ever experienced, and I'm so excited to share it with you. All of my guests bring something special to this show, and I couldn't do it without them. All of them have changed my life for the better, and I feel strongly that you will have your life change for the better too, just by hearing their stories. And I'm appreciative for all of them. Every single one, I'm like, wow, I learned something new or had a beautiful interaction or had a beautiful interaction. And I just wanted to say that this is really one of the most powerful, profound conversations that I've ever had with a guest because Dennis is almost showing us sort of a behind the scenes of what's going on in the other realm, whether you call it heaven or the other side. It really felt to me like his insights are life changing. For me, they were very life affirming. They were very affirming because he was reflecting back everything that I have gleaned and believed after having interviewed so many near death experiencers. So I really hope you'll stick around till the end because it just gets better and better as the episode goes. So thank you so much for being here. If you like this channel or even this episode, please leave me comments below. Please like, subscribe, share all the things. It really does help to get the word out that this podcast exists. And also, I am a psychic medium professionally. So if ever you would like to book a reading with me, you can reach out to me at magicisrealshannon@gmail.com, or you can go to magicisrealservices.com. Sometimes the Calendly is a little wonky there. So if you have problems, just reach out to me directly. I'm so happy to hold space for you, to connect with you and your loved ones, and look forward to meeting all of you. Thank you so much, and have a beautiful day, evening, week, whatever lays ahead for you. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here for Magic is Real. This is the podcast where we talk about near death experiences, spiritually transformative experiences of all kinds, and we focus on all things metaphysical and spiritual. I'm so glad you're here. I'm Shannon. I am a psychic medium. If you do enjoy the show or even just this episode, would you just do me a very small favor and hit the like button and then leave a little comment underneath? Also, I'm thinking, I'd like to know who's here. I'd like to meet all of you. I'd like to know who's listening. I'd like to know your thoughts. So it really means a lot to me if you can comment below. And even if you only have a second, even just dropping a little heart emoji is fantastic. It helps get the word out that this podcast exists. Without further ado, I am here with Dennis Bullock, who is a professional musician. He is a saxophonist. He is a vocalist, a singer. He's spent his life as a career musician, and he can tell us a little bit about that. Dennis has had two major spiritually transformative experiences, and of course, throughout his life, as we all have. But that's what we're going to talk about today and the insights that he gleaned. Joining us from Switzerland is Dennis Bullock. Welcome to the show, Dennis.
Hello, Shannon. Thanks for having me on your show. It's a
It means
very,
so much. Thank you for
it's
being
an
here.
honor. It's an
It's an
honor
honor
to
for
be
me
here.
too. Thank you. Well,
And
I would love to hear about your early life and what were your spiritual beliefs? Did you have spiritual beliefs as a child? Anything that, as it pertains to your spiritual journey?
well, the first thing was that I grew up in a Christian home, but it wasn't a very serious Christian home. It was more like holiday Christians, on the
Yeah,
holidays we went to church. So for me, I mean, it was not serious. So
yeah.
we had Sunday school, and for me, uh, growing up in church in America, this was just like a fun time on the Sundays where people would come. There was food and music and some good conversation. Of course, there was some Bible stuff and all that, but that was a part of church. Um, I was a musician and a singer. I was singing all the time when I was a child, and then I picked up saxophone in the school, high school. And my mother was a legal secretary, but she quit her job to marry my father. And my father was a Marine and a police officer. And well, the relationship with my father, my father was very dutiful because he was a Marine and also he was a cop. So he would just like say, well, what do you want for Christmas? Okay, here. What do you want for your birthday? Here. It was very dutiful. Whereas my mother was um, more loving, open, and she would wake me up and tell me to come out to look at the birds, beautiful birds in the beginning of the day. And she was just the joy and light of my life. She saved her money for like 3 years to buy me my first saxophone, and because she didn't have a job, and because those were the times, and those times, the woman would quit their job and try to work, become a housewife or whatever. That was the popular thing at the time. And so um, she was the joy of my life. She was the light of my life, my mother. And we had this strong love connection until one day she got sick and then she died. And when she died, it was like somebody turned out the lights in my life. Boop. Um, and at that point, it was so devastating. I, I I didn't care whether I lived or died. It's like I wasn't suicidal, but I just didn't care. If a car hit me, okay. I was not, I didn't even care. Um, so I was living in Montreal, Canada at that time. And I had an apartment there and I would go to the bar, drink because I was so depressed, come back to my apartment, sit on the side of my bed and cry myself to sleep. No, that happened for about a week and a half. And until this one night, I was coming back home to do my routine. And I came in my room, I turned out the lights, and I went to sit on the side of my bed and I went to untie my sneakers. And then I noticed that when I looked on the floor, that there was light. And I was like, that can't be. I just turned out the light. That's impossible. Now, here's the crazy part. When I looked up, it was like the sun that you see in the sky was in my room. And the minute I noticed that, my mouth went open. I went, and it was like a wave came over me. Like if you're in the ocean and the wave is too tall for your body and it covers your whole body. It was like that, except it wasn't water, it was love. And it just covered my whole body, like it just covered me. And I just had my mouth open, like, what is this? And then out of this sun that's in my room, two stars came out of the sun. One star was bigger and another one was smaller. And they kind of floated out to me. And the smaller one I recognized was my mother. And I said, first thing I said, it's like that over there, Mom, because it was so much love and joy. Uh, it's like if you you're in Hawaii on the beach and you won the lottery for $1 billion and everybody around you is loves you. It was just like that,
Yeah.
times 100. Okay, so they floated out to me, and my mother began to talk with me like I'm talking with you. I could hear her voice like I hear your voice, except when she would talk, I could feel the conversation being shot into my body. Oh, yeah, there's another thing that a lot of times I forget to say in this interview that happened in that moment the sun came. The moment that the sun came, it literally sucked all the alcohol out of my body. I could feel like a vacuum cleaner, like it was all coming out of my cells, all out of my body. Then then it just happened as I was looking at the sun. It was, and later on I learned that when you're in the presence of God, it's perfection, and it won't have anything imperfect around it. It will make it perfect when you're in front of God. So that's just something I want to say.
Yeah.
Anyway, they floated out towards me, and my mother began to speak to me, and when she talked, it would like I could feel the conversation in my body as well as I could hear it. And she said, I'm going to tell you a week in the future so you know that this is not an illusion or some kind of fake. And she said, you're going to get a job because my band, we hadn't worked in about 2 or 3 weeks. It was like a dry spell. She said, you're going to get a job. And she said, there's going to be a bouncer or a doorman at this job, and he's going to be a homosexual and a psychopath. And she said, don't get into any arguments with this person because there's going to be two. Now, this is the part where she starts to talk like Captain Kirk of the Star Trek Enterprise. She said, there's going to be two timelines that will happen if you get into an argument with this person. The first timeline, he's going to kill you. The second timeline, you're going to kill him, but you go to jail for the rest of your life. And she said, one of these two timelines will happen if you get into an argument with him. Now, I was so happy to see my mom. I said, Mom, anything you tell me, I will do. Anything. At this point, I was like, anything you tell me, Mom, I'm so happy to see you. So happy to see you. And so, because my mother knew me, I call it the roaring 20s. It was in my late 20s, and she knew me, and she knows that I wasn't looking for trouble, but if trouble came my way, I could handle it like a
Yeah.
Western almost. And and she knew I was like that. Now, I have nothing against people who are gay, lesbian, homosexual, but if you know I'm not, and you try to come and make passes at me and come at me, I'm going to defend myself. I'm going to defend my manhood. It's like that. And my mother knew I was like that. So she just tried to tell me, don't get into an argument with this particular person. And I said, don't worry, Mom, I won't. I'm doing exactly what you tell me. And then she said another thing. She said, the girlfriend that you've been seeing, I'd been seeing this girl for about maybe a year and a half. She said she has 3 kids that you don't know about. And she said she's going to try to have a fourth kid with you. She's going to try to trap you in some way, maybe birth control, or say she's on a pill and she's not. She said, be careful about that. And then my mother took a pause. And then I said, but Mom, who is this other light? Because there was a light standing next to her, like 7 feet tall, just standing there. And when I asked my mother about who this other light was, this other light, it spoke to me. And it said, I'm an escort. I'm escorting your mother to the earth. And the exact words it said was, this is an interruption in your life. And I said, an interruption? Now, I said, I got some questions for you. I said, it's like Star Wars in my room right now. I said, I want to know, why am I here? Um, who am I going to marry? How many kids I'm going to have? What's the meaning of life? And this, I call it kind of like an angel. It said very calmly and very easy. It said, I'm going to answer all your questions, but you won't be allowed to remember. You're only going to remember what your mother has told you. So it told me all the answers, everything, but I could not remember. I could only remember what my mother told me, which was a week in the future. So after it told me that, my mother said, I love you. And she said, I'm always going to be around you, but you won't be aware of my presence as much as you are tonight. But I always will be there, and I love you. And they slowly floated back to the sun. And as they floated back to the sun, like if you put an ice cube in a glass of water, the light in my room started to dim and go slowly, slowly, slowly back to black. And the minute that my room turned totally black and they were totally gone. Tears burst out my eyes because I said, nobody's ever gonna believe this happened. Nobody's ever gonna believe this. Nobody. There's nobody gonna believe this happened. But I have the proof that it did happen. Now, the next day, I got a phone call from my band, and they said, "Hey, man, we got a gig." I said, "Oh, great." Now, I didn't tell my band what happened the night before because I didn't want them to say, "Well, he's a great singer, great saxophone player, but I think he lost it, man, when his mom died." So
Yeah.
I did not tell them anything. I just said, "Oh, that's great. Okay, good. We got a job. Okay." And then I hung up the phone. And we went to the sound check. Now, for people who don't know what a sound check is, it's when the musicians and the artists, singers, we all test the sound equipment to make sure it's functioning properly 3 hours or 2 hours before the job happens. Okay, we call that a sound check because a lot of people don't know what that is. All right, so anyway, we did our sound check. I came to this new club and I passed these two bouncers. They didn't say nothing to me. Everything went okay. We did the sound check. We came out. I came out, no problem. And then we came back that night for the job. Now we went on stage. We did our first set. It was great. People loved it. And we were on our break before we do the second set. Now, on the break, I was talking to the band. We were standing like this. This is me, and this is the band, the five members of the band. And we we're talking, and this bouncer walks behind me and grabs my butt. And I'm like talking to the guy, and I'm like, hey. And I said, guys, did you see this? This bouncer grabbed my butt and went to the corner of the club and just watched me like that. I said, hey guys, did you see this? This guy just grabbed my butt. And they said, no, we didn't see it. We just saw the guy pass because I was in the way. I was standing in the way. They could only see from their viewpoint somebody passing, but they couldn't see the grab. And I was so angry. I said, I got to tell this guy something, man. I said, I got to tell this guy. And I went over there. I was coming over there very angry. And then I said, oh yeah, remember mom, remember mom. Don't lose it, man. Don't lose it. Don't lose it. Just go over there and tell him you're not like that, but don't lose it. Don't lose it. So I went over to this guy and I said, hey, man, I'm not like that. Please don't touch me again. And he said, you had too much beer, man. I didn't touch you. I said, yeah, you did touch me, but please don't. I'm not like that. And then he said, why did you tell your friends? And I said, I told my friends because you did touch me. And I'm telling you, I'm not like that. Please don't touch me again. And then I walked away because as we were talking, the more I stayed, the more we were beginning to go in that direction that my mother was talking about, an argument. So I left and we went on to do the second set. It went great. But I didn't, after the second set, I didn't hang around like I would normally hang out in the club after the show. I didn't hang around because I didn't feel comfortable with this guy lurking about at the door.
Yeah.
So I left the club. I went past him. He didn't say nothing. I left the club. The next day, I got a phone call from the band and they said, hey, man, did you hear what happened? And I said, no, I mean, I left the club. Everything seemed cool. I left the club and that was it. He said, remember that guy you told us about that you said he grabbed your butt and this crazy bouncer? I said, yeah. He said he got into an argument with the club owner and crushed both of his rib cages, killed the club owner, and now he's in jail for manslaughter. I said, what? He said, yeah. And my mouth flew open. I didn't know what to say. I said, oh my God, because this club owner was a real nice guy.
Yeah, that's terrible.
And so then I hung up the phone and I said, oh my God, everything my mother said is coming true. Everything. And then I said, oh, my girlfriend. Oh, that means if this is true, this is coming true, that means then I got to call her. I got to call her. It can't be. So I called my girlfriend and I said, she said, hello. And I said, tell me something, just tell me the truth. Do you have three kids? And the phone went silent. And then she said, "Who told you?" I said, "No." I said, "Wait a minute. This
Let's
can't be
not go
true."
there.
I said, "This can't be true." I said, "No way. I know this girl for a year and a half. No way. She has 3 kids. No way." I said, "Do you have 3 kids?" And she said, "Yes, I do. But who told you?" And then I said, "Well, I'm going to tell you who told me. My dead mother told me." And I said, "Me and you are finished." I said, "If you had told me about your kids in the beginning, it wouldn't have been a problem. But you hid your own kids
Yeah.
for a year and a half." I said, "I don't know what else you might be hiding. So we're finished." And I hung up the phone. And that was my first spiritual encounter.
Wow.
And
That's
of
amazing.
course, after and my mother had visited, I had totally stopped drinking because I was happy. I knew she was more than fine.
Mhm.
And she came back to save my life because the club owner got into the argument with the guy, but it would have been me, you see.
Yeah, she came to protect you. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that. I've heard similar experiences from other people as well, and it does
Hmm.
sound so crazy. I talk to dead people for a living, and I give
Uh-huh.
readings, and but I don't hear it, see it as clear as day. But I think sometimes when spirit knows you need that experience, and it's important enough, they will have an escort bring them down. And it's also very similar to a shared death experience. And yours didn't happen at the moment of your mother's crossing over, but there are a lot of people who have had that experience and they are completely sober. They might even be, in another place from the person who's leaving, but they're taken to
Yeah,
the
yeah,
other side,
yeah.
for lack of a better term,
Yeah,
because their
yeah.
loved one wants them to see, I'm okay and look where we're going. And I just want to
Exactly.
show you what I see so that you can be okay with the fact that I'm there and I'll be waiting for you.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. And that was, and me and my mom, we had such a strong connection. She was the love of my life. She made brought joy in my life, you know. My father was dutiful, okay? It was not that he was such a horrible man, but he couldn't allow himself to show too much emotion. It was
Yeah.
part of his upbringing. You know, he came from a military career family, so everybody was always in the military, and you don't show your feelings as a man, and he was blocked like that,
Yeah.
and that made it a cold ambiance,
Hmm.
you
Right.
know.
And mom had the gift of being able to show you vulnerability, comfort, love, and openness.
Love,
And
exactly,
yeah, yeah,
exactly, exactly.
that's common.
So we had such a great bond, and she's the reason why I'm like able to play music or to feel things. It's because of my mother.
Yeah,
Because
I
my mother
understand.
showed me the
Yeah.
joy. So that's why. And when she, and that told me, just my mother experience told me that the soul, they already know at least half of what the life is going to be like before they come here.
Right. Yeah, that's really
Mm,
important too.
yeah, yeah,
Now, after this happened, obviously, I'm sure a lot of things happened, and every day is when we have our spiritual awakening, it's not just something that happens in one time. It's an evolution. So you can share whatever you'd like to in the in between before your next profound near death experience. So share whatever you would like to share about that evolution into what
okay,
happened next.
okay. Well, I mean, after that, it was just too fantastic for me to share with anybody.
Yeah.
So I just said, like I said to you, as I felt nobody's ever going to believe me if I tell them the truth about this. So I said, I'm going to try to go back to normal life. I'm at peace now with my mother. I know she is fine, alive, and better than fine, powerful. So I knew that you don't have to worry about that because in my mind, I just saw this dead body and I knew she wasn't there. It was like a shell. And I didn't know where she was because even though we had religion, I didn't believe in any of that. When it came down to the actual she's dead, and I didn't believe it because I just didn't believe in the religion all the way. It was too many question marks in the Christian belief religion for me.
Yeah.
If it's how can a baby be a sinner and all that stuff? Hey, the baby
Yeah.
doesn't know anything, but he's already did something wrong. For me, I couldn't wrap myself around that. But anyway, so I tried to get back to normal life, and I started to follow this singer who who they made this group, a remake of this group called the Platters. It wasn't the original, but it was like a remake of that group. And this guy was an amazing singer. I'm talking about amazing. He had record deals in Germany, here, Canada. He was amazing singer. So he was like my mentor. I started to sing background vocals for him. And I started to follow him, and he was teaching me stuff about vocals until one day in the show, he offered me drugs. And I started to do drugs with him, which I'm not so proud of, I want to say. But I thought that was the way. I thought if you want to be successful, look at him. He's got money, he's got success, he's got record contracts. Maybe this is the way. So I started doing drugs with him. And we started doing drugs before every show and stuff like that. And then one weekend, he just dropped dead. And when that happened, that was my wake-up call. And I said, if you continue to do drugs like he's doing, you're going to drop dead too. And I said, so I went cold turkey. I didn't go to no rehabs or nothing. I just stopped all major drugs. And I said, I'm going to replace it with marijuana. I said, maybe I'll smoke 2 joints once a month. That's not
Yeah.
going to do anybody any harm. So that's what I did. And this one day with my new girlfriend, we ran out of marijuana. Now, I want to say this. I know musicians are going to not like this about me for saying this, but it's true. Most musicians know where to get marijuana no matter what city or country they are in.
Hmm.
It's just like that.
Yeah.
So we ran out of marijuana. So I called one of my musician friends. Hey, man, you got any marijuana? Of course. And he said, I'll bake it in a cake and I'll bring it over to your apartment. I said, cool, because I never had it in a cake before. I only smoked it. I never had it in a cake. I never ate it. Said, yeah, I'll bake it in a cake and you'll like it. It was a chocolate cake. So he brought it over to my apartment and left it with me and my girlfriend. And he left. He didn't even stick around to have some. He just left. And I found out later that he had poured so much marijuana into that cake, the whole kitchen sink. It was like full of marijuana. But I
I was
didn't
going to
know.
say he left without even giving you dosage
Yeah,
instructions.
yeah, he just
Yeah.
left. Okay. And so I cut a small piece for me and a small piece for my girlfriend. So we ate the cake and we
No.
waited 10 minutes and nothing happened. And I
I've
said,
been there. This has happened to me.
oh my goodness. Oh no.
But even with just a small little
Yeah,
brownie that just,
yeah,
ooh,
yeah. So nothing happened after 10 minutes. I said, I don't know. Do you feel anything? She said, no, I don't feel anything. I said, me neither. I said, I guess maybe we have to eat more. And she said, yeah. So I cut her half and I took the other half. And she ate the half and I ate the half because we wanted to get high. So after we ate the half of the cakes, both cakes, we waited 10 minutes again. Still nothing. I said, you don't feel anything? She said, no, I don't feel anything. I said, me neither. I said, must be a bad batch. Then we waited another 10 minutes and then we began to feel something. But it wasn't like we were getting high. It was like our bodies were shutting down. I would be talking to her, then I would forget to breathe, actually forget to breathe. And then I started feeling that it's hard for me to move. And she said, you better call 911 while we still can. I said, yeah, because I'm beginning not to be able to move at all. So I called 911 and they said, hello, how can we help you? And this was the embarrassing part. I said, well, I think we took too much marijuana and it feels like can you come save us? I feel like we're dying here. And she said, okay, we'll be right over. Now, what I didn't know is that when you call 911, if it's about a narcotics, they also call the police. So the police came first And when they came in, they were looking for
Mm.
marijuana, but there was none because we had ate all the evidence. So, so they couldn't
Phew.
charge us with nothing, so they
Yeah.
left. Then the ambulance came. Now, this happened at 4 o'clock in the morning, by the way.
Oh my God.
Okay, so we're on the third floor. There's a winding staircase outside that goes in front of my neighbor's windows, which is like big windows, in front of the staircase. So there's lights flashing. There's a siren. And there's two stretchers. Now, when they arrived, I was like trying to hold on to life. It was quite serious, actually. When they arrived, I was saying, thank God I'm going to live because I was trying to keep my heart to beat because I couldn't move anymore. And so when they arrived, I was like, oh God, thank God, they're here, they're here, they're here, they're here. So they put us in stretchers, and as they were carrying us down this winding staircase, I could see my neighbors opening the windows, looking, saying, "Oh, what happened to them?" And it looked like out of a scene of Mick Jagger, David Bowie overdose. It was just like that, flashing and all this action at 4 o'clock in the morning. And so we get into the ambulance, and I'm in the ambulance. They rush us to the hospital. And as I arrive in the hospital and they're wheeling me past the reception, another strange thing happened. I see my dead mother again. This time, she has this outfit on. Now, my mother was a member of like this woman's club, okay? And they would go play bingo together, they would go on trips together. It was like a woman's type of club. And they all had these special shirts. And I recognized the shirt. I said, oh, that's the shirt from her women's club. And she was there looking in reception, looking where they would put me. And I passed her. I said, that's strange. There's mom. They passed me by. And what I realized is that the moment that they passed me by the reception, I was so close to death. That's why I could see her as clearly as I see you right now.
Yep.
And so I passed by her, and they put me into a room, and they put my girlfriend in another room, and they gave me this black drink to drink. I thought it was tar, but later I found out it was charcoal. So they gave me this charcoal drink, and they left me in the room by myself, in my hospital room by myself. And they went to my girlfriend, and because she was having some kind of other complications, which I didn't know about at that time. And so I started to drink. And I said, I'm gonna drink, I'm gonna live, I'm gonna live, I'm gonna live. I'm sitting on my hospital bed, and I'm saying, I'm gonna live, I'm gonna live. So I start to drink the charcoal drink, and tastes nasty, horrible. And I drink it really fast, and I finish it, and I lay back on my hospital bed, and I think, I'm gonna live. I'm gonna live. You're gonna be okay. I'm gonna live. Now, as I do that, all of a sudden, I start to hear my heartbeat in my ear, like somebody took out my heart and put it in my ear. And as I hear it, my heartbeat is going boom, 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 boom. And when it went boom, it's like I would jump out of this chair. I jumped out of my body just like that. And the first thing I said then was, I'm out. And I could see my body in the hospital bed, and I'm standing next to it. And I'm looking at my hand because my hand has this grayish light blue tint all around it. Kind of like there used to be a thing about television that if you watch TV to 12 o'clock, this emergency broadcasting system would come on, and there would be this static. And in this static, if you look hard, there's colors. And
Mhm.
my hand had like I said, this gray, grayish light blue tint all around it. And I was looking at it like that. And I heard this. I had a sink in my room, and it was water that was dripping, drip, drip, drip. And I don't know, for some odd reason, to a soul, a drop of water was the most amazing thing that you could ever see. And I quick turned and I said, a drop of water. And the minute I said the drop of water, my vision went zoomed right close to it and zoomed back to where I was standing. And then as if I was remembering, like if you don't ride a bike in 20 years and I give you a bike in 20 years from now, you're still going to be able to ride it, even if you haven't ridden a bike in 20 years. It was like that. It was like I was remembering. And I said, I'm going to stop time because I want to see that drop of water. And I just put my hand across the air, just like I'm doing now. And the drop of water froze in midair. I stopped time. And then, but to a soul, that was not like an amazing thing. To me, it was not, when I'm in my body, it's like, whoa. But into a soul, it's like, yeah, okay. And then I said, I'd like to see that drop of water on every angle. And then I just opened my hand just like that. And 5 of me appeared at the sink of me. One was on the right, one was on the left, one was underneath the water, one was watching them, and another one was watching them. And I was watching all of them. And I was looking at them because I said, that's me. And and then I closed my hand and they would suck back up to me as one, just like that. Then I opened my hand and they would be back at the sink. And I could see the vision through each one of them, like cameras. Like if I had 5 cameras and you have 5 cameras out at the outside of your door, and you can look at the camera 1 and camera 2, camera 3. It was like that, but I could see through all of them what they were seeing: the bottom of the water, the right side of the water, the left side of the water, top of the water, like that. And so I I kept opening my hand, they appeared and I kept doing that really fast. And I said, if I do it fast, I kept doing like that, like that. And then the last time I said, I wonder if I open my hand and I do a little shake, will they all appear and shake a little bit? And I opened my hand and I did a little shake like that, and they all appeared and they did a little shake, and I burst out laughing. I burst out laughing, and my laugh was like if I was in the Grand Canyon, ha 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 ha, ha, into eternity. And then after the laugh, I felt somebody was watching me, and then I heard a voice, and this was God, and God said, "If you don't go back now, you might have to stay." And it was like how a parent would talk to a child in a playground. Be careful, if you run around the corner too fast, you might fall. It was like that. And it wasn't an order, it was just information given. If you don't go back now, you might have to stay. And I said to God, oh, yeah, that's right. My heart, it can't stay stopped more than 20 minutes. I said, yeah, that's right. And I had to think about it a little bit because it was fun over there.
Yeah.
I had power. There was no death. It was like, and is the other thing that I didn't say about was that the moment that I was out of my body, I was getting this information. It was expanding, expanding. Like if you put an Alka-Seltzer in a glass, it absorbs and it gets absorbed in the water. Well, it was the opposite. I was expanding with information. It was like more information about everything, about Christ, about hell, about heaven, about God, about why we're here, about the earth, about stars, about a bunch of stuff. And that was expanding. So something inside of me, I thought about it, and then I said, there's still things I want to finish in this life before I go into eternity, because eternity, it's perfect, it's powerful, but I came to this life to experience some things that I probably can't experience on the other side, because the other side is perfect. Okay, it's powerful. And on this side, we can experience powerless. We can experience no love. We can experience being alone. We can experience feeling helpless. Over there, you can't really experience that. So so I said, I felt like, I'm not finished really. I still have some things I want to do on this side. So I pointed myself in the direction of my hospital bed, and I just literally jumped onto my body. And when I jumped onto my body, my heart did a double beat, and then it started to beat again. And then I was back in my body. And that was my near-death experience. Now, the thing is, this information that was swelling in my head of more things, I was able to bring it back this time. And all the information was total the opposite of what I believed. And also later on, I found out that I had gifts, but I didn't know. I found out by accident, actually. And so the information, the downloads, whatever you want to call it, I mean, it was about so many topics. Uh, First thing, there's no right or wrong on the other side, only perception. We are made out of love. That's all. We are love. We're not. That's who we are actually. The essence of we are love. If you want to have, what's the ingredients of a soul? Love. That's it. So and energy. Yeah. So
Yeah.
and this is about hell. I got information about hell too. Is that we are part of God. Here's the other thing. Yeah, we are part of God, and we also are gods with a big G. We can have multiple lifetimes at the same time. We can create whole universes just with a thought. Okay. We are, the God is a creator, and we are creators also. And yeah, about hell, whatever in this life, what we think about, because we're so powerful gods, what we think about and believe, we are creating on the other side. So if you, even an atheist, if you're secret atheists are secretly afraid that hell really exists, when they die, they're going to experience that. And for Christians too, they're going to all the people that believe in that, they're going to experience that. And two things are going to happen when they do. Either they're going to realize, hey, it's me who created this place, not God, and they leave, or they cry out to God, God, please save me from hell. Please take me out of here. And God says, yeah, I'll take you out of your own creation, no problem. And God takes them out, and they think, oh, God, save me. I'm going to be a Christian now for the rest of my life. Well, they didn't understand their death experience. First thing, God is only love. Only love. There's no judgment of any kind. Second, because we're such powerful beings, we create the hell. We are creating the hell because in the Christian Bible, if you go to hell, you're never supposed to get out, right? So why are hundreds coming back saying, I've been to hell and I'm out and blah, blah, blah? Because I'm going to tell you, if God created hell, no one would get out. But God is only love, unconditional love, no judgment of any kind. So these are the people who are creating the hell, and have to say for heaven also, because people think first that not many people are going to get into heaven. So when they die, they go to this heaven that they created. Might be Jesus, might be Virgin Mary, might be a few angels, and nothing is happening there. Absolutely nothing is going on there. And they start to notice, hey, there's nothing going on here. Like nothing. Nothing's happening. The real truth is that on the other side, all the places are heaven because it's all from God. It's all heaven. Okay? There's not a designated, this is heaven. Now, this is the place you're dead, you go here. There's no designated place because there's so many dimensions, there's so many universes, there's so many galaxies, there's planets, there's extraterrestrials, the list goes on and on and on and on and on. The earth is like a small closet compared to the other side. A small closet. That's how big the other side is. So I mean, it's like if I take somebody from Oklahoma in a small town and then I drop them off in Las Vegas, it's like, whoa. It's like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's huge. So that's what the downloads I got about heaven and hell, and also about Jesus. There were many types of Jesuses that walked the earth. That's another thing. But there is a Christ consciousness that exists on the other side, just under unconditional love. That does exist. And when they talk about, and oh, here's the Bible. The Bible, only some of it is true, not all of it, sorry. A lot of it was manipulated by the priests and the government at the time, 2,000 years ago. Okay. The other thing, Christ. Christ came to give the consciousness of the other side to people on the earth to play the game better. That was it. Okay, that was it. The other thing, there is no hierarchy on the other side. That means Virgin Mary, Christ, Mother Teresa, they're not more closer to God than you are. There's no hierarchy. Angel Michael, Gabriel, there's no hierarchy. That means God is not closer to them than God is closer to you. Everybody is exactly the same. Um, yeah, so this that's one of the downloads. There's so many things.
Yeah.
um, Yeah. So, yeah, the Bible. Yeah. So only some of the stuff is true. And when Christ was saying, "These works I do, but greater you will do," he was telling, he was saying the actual thing. That was the actual truth about what he was saying, because there's no hierarchy. And these things that I can do, I do, but you'll do even greater. That's right. He was trying to tell you that I'm not better than you. But they tried to write him in as being better. So this is like, so the Bible is not all true, and a lot of it is misinterpreted. For example, when they say, "Oh, Christ is coming back after 2,000 years," they're not talking about the physical Christ. They're talking about the consciousness of Christ. That means a way of thinking. That's going to come back. Yes, love, thinking of love, and and there. They wrote in the Bible that, oh, Christ is the only way to God. This is not true, because God is inside of you. You don't have to go to a church to contact with God. God is inside of you. The soul is God. It's inside of you. That's why God, the true stuff that he did say was that the kingdom of heaven is inside of you. That is true. So, I mean, so about the Bible, like I said, only some of it is true, not all of it. And any religion that tells you to separate or puts fear or says that you have to go to a person to get to God, this is all wrong. Okay. And what else? There's so many things. It's so much information that comes. Oh yeah. The earth. The earth is a soul, by the way. And this life we leading, this is a game. Okay. And this game was created by other souls for the soul to come here to experience what it is not and to experience, period. Now, it is not a school. It is not for soul's evolution, because the soul is perfect on the other side. It is only to experience. This was my download. Okay. And this game was created by other souls. So now, when you plan your life on earth, you plan about maybe 50% of it. Okay, you plan who your parents are going to be. You plan who your dog and cat's going to be, your best friend's going to be. You plan who your first love is going to be. You plan who your partner's going to be. You plan whoever the person's going to break your heart's going to be. You plan that. And so all these things are planned. You plan the country you're going to live in. You plan even the time you're going to come into the world. Okay. All that's pre-planned, but that's only 50%. The other 50% is free will. Okay. And even the stuff that's planned, you can change your mind and say, oh, I don't want those as my parents, so I disown them. I don't want those children as my children. I'm gonna not be with them. I don't want this person as my partner or my husband or wife. I don't want that. So I divorce. You see, you still have free will. And so the earth agreed to play this game for a few billions and billions of years. Now it stopped to play this game around 2012. It decided, I don't want to play the game anymore. Now, Shannon, if you were to move from where you live and you did all the work yourself to move into the other apartment, it's probably going to take you a pretty long time to do it, right?
Yep, I've
But
moved
if you,
three times in the last 4 years. Yes.
okay, so, but if you call your friends to help you, it's going to go a lot quicker, right? So this is what the Earth did. It made a call out to the universe to have star seeds be born. Now, for people who don't know who star seeds come here to help the Earth raise her vibration. Okay, these are people who want to do good at 24 hours a day, but they can't be around a lot of crowds. They're very sensitive people. So, because crowds, they feel everybody's energy. So that's why they can't be around crowds too much. But they're very positive people, and they help 20, they're just a helper. They're just there to help, and they don't have any agenda. That's how who they are. These are star seeds. And so they came, the earth made that call, and they were born onto the earth, and they're helping the earth rise in vibration faster. Now the earth is leaving 3D. For people who don't know what 3D is duality. That's why life felt good, then it felt bad, then it felt good, then it felt bad, then it felt good, then it felt bad. Okay, but we're going to 5D. Now, I don't know if people know about this, but there's these things that exist. This is part of my downloads too, that it's timelines. Now, what I got in my downloads about timelines is that we change timelines every 3 minutes. Every 3 minutes, we change a timeline. And timelines are just opportunities that really exist. Okay. Now, for example, Shannon, you might have did this. Maybe you put your keys one time on a table and you come back 2 hours later and the keys are not there. And you're looking all over the apartment. You can't find the keys. You don't know where they are, but you know you put them on that table, but they're not there. You come back another 3 hours later to that same table and the keys are there now. That's a timeline shift. You've just experienced a timeline shift. And it doesn't have to be keys, it could be any object. Okay. And so we change these timelines. Now, when the Earth reaches this 5D frequency, it's going to split timelines. It's going to be a 3D timeline and a 5D timeline. Think of it like if, Shannon, if you stand in front of a wall and there's a shadow, and then there's you. The 3D timeline is going to be a shadow of the Earth, is a copy, and the real Earth will be in 5D. Okay. Now, the difference between 3D and 5D will be that 5D, there will be no killing of animals, plants, or people. There'll be no wars. There only will be peace and love. We'll have 20% of our soul power in the physical body. We'll be conscious of it. Now, like I said earlier, Shannon, just a small piece of your fingernail of your soul is powering your life right now. So imagine if it's a small, small piece of your fingernail, imagine what 20% of your soul power will be in the physical body. We'll have telepathy, and we won't even need any more iPhones. We'll have telepathy. We'll be able to communicate with rocks, plants, animals, all animals, water, air. We'll have technology that will blow our minds because there'll be nothing hidden from us. So all this advanced technology they have in secret will be shared with humanity instead of hidden and being used against us. Um, we'll be able to go to the other side and come back. Actually, we're beginning to do that even now. There's a person, friend that's named Darius Wright, who's teaching people how to leave their body when they sleep to go to the other side to visit and come back. So that's all coming
I know that
to
guy. I know
truth.
of that guy. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. So this is all part of 5D. Now, as far as God's viewpoint on this whole transition, let's say Shannon chooses 3D, God's going to say, well, Shannon chose the long road home, but she's coming home. If Shannon chooses 5D, Shannon chose the short road home, but she's coming home. That's God's viewpoint on it, okay? Now, for the earth is asking all the souls Please choose the vibration you want to be on, because once I reach 5D, whatever vibration you are on at that particular moment, you'll be stuck on that vibration until you leave this game. Okay. So that's why I talk about vibration, and I talk about how important vibration is, you know.
Absolutely. Thank
Yeah.
Dennis. I mean, I'm already just thinking of how this is literally, this is how I'm going to title this too, is that this is literally one of the most, if not the most resonant, and I've interviewed hundreds of people and everything that they've shared with me, this is the moment where they all come together. This is
Hmm.
the moment where all of the NDEs I've heard, you just kind of, everything you said lines up, and everything I have felt in my bones. And I know it. So I've always suspected I was a star seed. And I
Hmm.
remember being 5 years old and I was elective mute. I didn't
Uh-huh.
speak. I was
Hmm.
silent for 3 years because I had so much anxiety.
Right.
I was so overwhelmed by how sensitive I was that I
Hmm.
just couldn't. I remember thinking, I'm different. Something's different about me. This isn't,
Right.
this feels funny. Like there's something about me that's different on a soul level. And I do believe also, I do see, don't you see us kind of moving more towards more and more people understanding these concepts? Not when the Matrix came out, it seemed like a fantasy. I'm sure there were people that really knew it was the movie was actually sort of real. But I know back
Hmm.
then it's like I was just coming out of college, and now it's like that film is like actually really, really accurate. And just all the ways that you described your experience are very Matrix-like.
Hmm. Hmm.
And and it's fascinating to me as I'm in this period of life where I'm starting to see how manifestation is so real. And yet it's interesting the way that you say we can manipulate these other dimensions, right? And create parallel realities. Do you believe or do you think we can actually jump into those realities, quantum jumping style? Or are you just kind of creating other realities that exist in the universe and you're kind of on in this one dimension for your life?
Well, the thing was, it's like this. What I gathered from even my mother talking about these timelines, it seems like the timelines already exist, but we jump into the timelines by our action, by the vibration we choose and the action. Because my mother told me that if you get into an argument, you're going to go on to one of these timelines.
Yeah.
Now, she had it
Yeah.
down to just two timelines. One of these timelines are going to happen if you get into an argument with this person. You see, so that's
If you
action.
take action. Yeah.
Yes, if I take action. Yes.
That's so succinct and so well explained.
Yes. So you see, so we can definitely go to different timelines and depending on the vibration. Now, the thing is, what I got in my downloads is in our transition, vibration is actually the most important because it's determining our reality. Nothing else determines our reality than the vibrations that we choose in every day. This is creating our reality. Nobody else is creating our reality.
That
Okay.
makes so much
We
sense.
are creating our reality by the vibrations we choose every day. And there's only two vibrations, high vibration or low vibration, and so, uh, you know, vibration is so important for people to know. And it's like, if I take a real gun, a real handgun, and I put it in the hands of a 3-year-old who doesn't know it's a real gun, and the 3-year-old goes around shooting people, and they start falling, and they have pain, and they're bleeding, and all that stuff. And the 3-year-old doesn't know, well, why are they in pain? What's going on? Why? It's the same for us. When we speak, And when we think, if we start saying bad things, if we start thinking, telling ourselves, thinking bad thoughts, it is like that gun because we don't realize how powerful our words actually are and how powerful our thoughts are. Our words and our thoughts is a 24-hour prayer to the universe. So we want to be telling ourselves a story that's positive, not negative. We want to be speaking about positive things, not negative things, having low vibration conversation. We want to have high vibration conversation because those things are very important. And a lot of people don't know. They say bad things, they thinking bad things, and then they say, why is my life so bad? It's like the little kid, the 3-year-old, who goes around shooting people, and the kid says, well, why are they in pain? You don't realize how powerful your words are. And in Japan, they made an experiment with 2 bowls of white rice. One bowl, he said, I hate you every day for 1 month. The other bowl, he said, I love you every day for 1 month. At the end of the month, the bowl, he said, I hate you, the rice turned totally black and unedible. The bowl, he said, I love you, stayed white, and you still could eat it after a month. That's to show you just how powerful your words are alone. And your thoughts are the same.
Thank you. Your experiences alone are so profound and so magical. And I used to be sort of an agnostic and at times atheist. And that's why I named this podcast Magic is Real, because once I found out and started to see and experience a bit of the
Mhm,
5D in my own life, then I realized, oh my God, all of this is so magical. It's so, I wake up with this excitement to see what is going to happen
mhm,
next.
mhm, mhm,
And what's really profound, I think, is that your insights are the most profound part of your story or your experience. And the fact that you really are doing such good work by taking the time to share the insights that came, because those things are really cool to share. Like, and people think, oh, how cool. Like, I wish I could experience that. Every near-death experiencer says, no, you don't. You don't really want to die. It's not often, it can come, it can be difficult to come back. It can be difficult to reassimilate. It can be very traumatic, but it also changed my life for the better, is what a lot of people have told me. How do you feel about that? Was it difficult to sort of reintegrate, or did it only make you feel more powerful, not in the obviously more powerful than anyone else, but in your own life and more empowered, I should say.
Okay, well, here it is. First thing, death is easy.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Okay, it's like drinking a glass of water. In
Hmm.
fact, I had to look at my hand to make sure that I was dead, even
Yeah.
because you keep your same personality. I like to laugh and joke. I was doing the same thing on the other side. Um, so it's very easy. Here's the other download that I got. Nobody dies a horrible death. Now, this is hard for people.
Yeah.
But nobody dies a horrible death. Why? Because your soul is taken out seconds, sometimes hours, sometimes half an hour before the actual death happens. Okay. The soul, even for tortured people, the soul will not stay very long in the body for tortured people. Even women who have been raped, they can tell you, I left my body. I was not even
Yeah.
there during the rape. Or a car accident. Uh, I didn't even feel the impact when the car hit. I was
Hmm.
already out of my body. Nobody dies a horrible death. That's the download I got. Okay. The soul is taken out before, just to let you know. Um, that's one of my downloads. Now, as far as my experience goes, after my near-death experience, I it was just another one of those things. I'm going to try again to get back to normal life. And so I that's exactly what I did. But I had a hard time to get back because a lot of strange things started to happen. Like, for example, I mean, I went, tried to get back to my band and try to go to do the normal things. We were in Canada and we went to this place called Mont Roulon in Canada. There was a club up there and it was a snowstorm. It was a club that's open during the daytime and we were supposed to play in the daytime. So it was a snowstorm, so nobody showed up. It was only two waitresses in the whole club. So we were having beers, me and the band, and I was getting bored, waiting, hoping for people to come. So I told one of the waitresses to come over. I didn't even know the waitresses before because it was a new club. So I said, come on over. Give me your left hand. I'm going to tell you your future for fun. Now, it was supposed to be a joke.
Yeah.
I grabbed her hand, her left hand, and I told her, I said, your boyfriend is paraplegic. I said, uh, he blames you for his handicap, even though you had nothing to do with it. I said, you're going to meet a guy 3 months from now and you're going to fall in love. And in another 3 months, you're going to marry this guy. And then I just left her hand and I finished my beer. Now, the thing I didn't notice was that all while I was telling her that, she didn't say a word, not one word. Now, we played that club a year later, and that same waitress was working at that club. She ran up to me and she said, hey, did you know that everything you said to me was true? I said, no way. No way. I said, your boyfriend was paraplegic? She said, yes. I said, he blamed you for his handicap, and even though it was not your fault? She said, yes. I said, you met a guy 3 months after and you fell in love? She said, yes.
Wow.
And I said, you got married 3 months after? And she didn't even say yes. She showed me the wedding ring. And when she showed me that wedding ring, the bumps went
Yeah.
up my arm like crazy. My band said, hey man, what's happening with you? What are you turning into Nostradamus? And I said, man, I don't know what I'm turning into. I said, I feel like I'm turning into some kind of alien. I don't know. That was the first like evidence that I had changed. I'm not the same.
Yeah.
Then another incident happened. Now, after we do our shows, we usually go to what these places called like after party or after hours club. Now, after hours club is the clubs that stay open past the normal clubs. Like normal clubs close at 2 or 3 in the morning, but these after hours they stay open till like 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning.
Hmm.
Okay, so after our show, we would go to the after hours because when you do a show late at night, you can't just go home and go to sleep. You just have too much energy. So we would go to the after hours, and of course, we had friends, and there was bouncers there that were our friends. They were cool with us, and there was this one bouncer that I had a premonition about. Now, I didn't even know what premonitions was, but I had a feeling like on Thursday that this particular person who's a friend of the band should not go out this weekend. Now, it hung over my head like a cloud, I don't know if you ever watched Charlie Brown when there's a cloud that hangs around them and
Yes.
follows them. Yeah, it's like that. It stayed with me like that. And it kept telling me the same thing. He should not go out this weekend. Tell him to stay home. Don't go out this weekend. And I was fighting with myself because I said, "Yeah, if I tell him to stay home, he's gonna think I'm crazy." I said, who would mess with this guy? This guy is like the Hulk Hogan. I mean,
Hmm.
you have to be insane to pick a fight with this guy. Just look at him.
Yeah.
You have to be insane. So I said, if I tell him, he's gonna think I'm crazy. So no, Friday came and I went to the after hours. I saw him there and I started to tell him, then I said, nah, I'm not gonna take that chance. I said, it's my life. I said, maybe it's me. You went through a lot lately and things been kind of weird. I think maybe you were just feeling something, you were sensing something. Maybe it's not even, maybe it's just you. So then I didn't tell him. And and Sunday came and we went to the after hours and he wasn't there. There was another bouncer there, and he was standing in front of the door with tears rolling down his face. And I said, hey, man, what's wrong, man? He said, you didn't hear? I said, hear what? The other bouncer, he's dead. I said, dead? I said, what happened? He said on Saturday night, he met this girl. And after his shift, he took her to a hotel and she waited till he fell asleep. And she started to cut his throat with a butcher knife. By the time he realized that he was being attacked, he had lost too much blood and he lost consciousness and he died. I ended up
Wow.
going to his funeral and I said to myself, never again. I said, if I get a premonition about the President of the United States,
Hmm.
I'm going to call the White House and tell them, I don't care if they think I'm crazy. I don't care. I'm going to tell them because I'm not going to carry that around.
Yeah.
And then I asked myself after this funeral and stuff, I asked my soul, you know, would he have believed me? And the answer was no, he wouldn't have believed you. And it's not your fault.
Hmm.
And also one of my downloads also that we all have exit points. An exit point is when, let's say you have to go to work, but you're on the phone and you talk 10 minutes longer than you should, and you're late for work. But if you were on time, you would have been in an accident. You would have drove your car and you would have been in a major accident. Or you're late for your flight and that plane, you missed your plane and that plane crashes. But you would have been on it if you were on time, but you were late. Those are exit points. And we have all have exit points in our whole life. And that's if we want to leave the game or we want to continue in the game. Okay. Um, yeah. So those are the gifts. And then after that, I started to help people and I started to have little sessions with people to try to help them. And I started to discover what I could do.
Yeah.
And I discovered that I could tell about health. I discovered I could tell about people's relationships. I discovered that anybody you love and anybody you hate, I could read their energy right away because there's a connection, there's a spiritual connection. Um, and people that you don't know is I could read, but it's more difficult because there's
Yeah.
no connection. Um, I just started to understand about energies and like relationships. I could if somebody tells me two names, I could tell them about that relationship, like if it's a good person or it's a bad person, if they're hiding something, or this is a person that you won't get along with, or this is a person that loves you and you love them, it's going to go good. I could tell all of that just from energy reading. Um, yeah, so I started to help people and I discovered that I could have healings also. That's
Yeah.
another thing. In my healing sessions, I take people, what I really do is tell them to quiet their mind and they have to repeat a certain phrase. You know, I allow love, light and love to enter my body. I allow light and love to heal whatever the part of the body it is. And then I thank you for it. And that's it. And once they say that, they have to still keep their eyes closed. And I kind of take their energy to source because, like I told you, if you go stand in front of source, source is perfection. So you can't stand in front of source with anything imperfected, with anything that's not perfection. So when I take the person in front of source, uh, and I literally imagine that we're going up to the light both together. And when we get there, I can feel this energy. This energy is very powerful. It's very hard for my body to even sustain for long periods of time. Like I can only do one healing session per day because the
Yeah.
energy is too powerful for me. I get too tired
I
after
get,
and
yeah.
I can't do more than that. Um, but I discovered that I can do that. So, I mean, I've had people who were planning to buy a wheelchair and now they go into the disco. I had people who were healed of cancer. I had people who were Reiki healers who couldn't stand because they had back problems, and now they they're standing and their back is fine and they're painting and they're doing all kinds of things. So I learned that I could do those things, but it wasn't, I had to try, you know, it wasn't like automatic pilot. Okay, now you died. Now you come back. Now you have this. Now we do it. No, it was more like I try and I found out, oh, I can do that. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh wow. It's a surprise.
Yeah. That makes so much sense. And I feel that too. Well, I don't know if you feel this way, but when I'm doing a reading, for example, and I'm Reiki master certified, I don't really practice it on anyone but my pets or my friends or whatever,
Hmm.
just because it's not my passion.
Okay.
But I do use it. I do use it
Hmm.
when someone tells me that they're hurting or whatever. I just kind of give them Reiki automatically. But I do find that I am pretty wiped out for a while after connecting with the spirit world, even though it's so energizing in the moment. And I think that's why,
Yes.
right? Because it's so
Yeah.
energizing.
Exactly. It's such a high energy, it's high frequency energy that the body it can't really handle it for long periods of time. It's
Yeah.
like holding on to high voltages of
Oh,
electricity. You
yeah.
can't hold on to it for too long. And it tires you out. It feels good while it's happening. It's like, wow, the surge,
Yeah.
but after you're like finished. It's so
Yeah.
many things. So, one thing I learned that's there's no religion on the other side, only love.
Yeah.
So that's it. And people may see Christ because again, it goes to belief systems again. Christ does exist, but it's not in the same way that we think of him. He is somebody that brought, like Buddha, like Krishna, they brought a certain consciousness, and there is a Christ consciousness. That's true, but it's not something that you must be like this or you must be. It's just a way of thinking and being, which is a spiritual way. That's it. But it's not like a bunch of rules and everything like that. I had the thing about Hitler with a lot of my clients. Well, what about Hitler? And I said, first thing, it's a game. Second thing, we do have a life review. So if we do too many messed up bad things in this game, we've got to face everybody in a life review. You feel what the others felt dealing with you. So if you had an argument with a person, you're going to feel what that person felt like while you were arguing with them, and you're also going to feel how you felt. So imagine Hitler, who had to feel about millions of people terrified, tortured, and murdered, how they felt. He has to feel that, but it's not for punishment. It is exactly what it is, a review. And it's going to happen faster because on the other side, even though while I was on the other side, time didn't feel faster at all. But in actuality, compared to this side, it's going very fast. So his life reviews are going to be fast. It's not going to last forever and ever because
Yeah.
it's not there to torture, it's there to review. But
And
it's
lit
not going to be
yeah.
it's not, might not be so fun for him to feel all that pain he caused because he's going to feel exactly what they felt.
Yep.
And the millions, that's a lot.
I have said this and it's controversial. I've mentioned it on the podcast and some people got uncomfortable with it where I have brought up his name and said it's hard for people to understand that people aren't good or evil. Their souls aren't good or evil. The things that they do in this body can be in this
Yeah.
world good or evil, but on the other side there is no good or bad. It's all just, what did you say? All just
Perception,
perception.
perception.
And
Yes.
I know that's hard for people to hear. In fact, I'm gonna, if it's okay for me to share this part, this is where we can
Hmm.
kind of resume and come
Hmm.
to a close. But
Hmm.
uh, I know that too, and it resonates everything you're saying because I explain it exactly the way that you just explained it. This is what I understand from what I'm told by spirit, but that's always subject to my own fallibility. Just
Interpretation.
as a
Okay.
human, yeah, like I'm not
Okay.
always perfect, right? As a medium, I'm filtering through a brain, but near-death experiencers have explained it to me like this. And you too. And it really does resonate in my soul that I always say, we're all just these balls of light and we are all love. We
Energy.
come,
We're made out of love. Yeah.
yes, we're made of
Uh,
love. And we
exactly. When we
come in
take off the,
here.
yeah, exactly.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. Sorry.
No,
Yeah.
no, no. I mean, we're like these body suits, and when we take off these suits, what's left? The soul, and what's the soul made out of? Love.
Yeah.
So that's why not Jesus, God is welcoming Hitler with love. Now
Hmm.
Hitler has to face. The only person that judges us on the other side is guess who?
Yourself.
Ourselves.
Hmm.
We might say we could have did that better. We could have played the game a lot better than that.
Yeah. And I know
Yeah.
that's hard to hear because people want to think
Well, they
that
want some
person
kind
is
of justice.
justice.
It's a earth
Yeah.
concept.
Of course.
Well, it's you must be judged, you must be punished or not punished, you must be rewarded or not rewarded.
Yeah.
But it's on the other side, that's not how it works at
Yep.
all.
That makes so much sense. Uh, is that I think sometimes I just ask this question. I mean, I appreciate you so much for how much energy and time you've offered and just because of what you're doing, which I know, like I said, you've told this, you've shared all this a lot, and
Hmm.
it really means a lot to hear you tell it again and share it again for new people that may not have heard. And I
Right.
do think the reason that I do this podcast is because I want to take the fear out of death. I hope that we can find peace. I was just saying on a podcast that I was on, if, oh God, if all of our world leaders and all of these people at war could just have a near death experience or an ayahuasca experience, like
Hmm.
maybe we could just, as Rodney King said, can't we just all get along? Because it's like, can't we just remember who we are? Like, stop hurting everybody. Like, stop it. And so I want people to understand that we are so much more than what we see, and that we are capable of loving someone who's different from us, and that we need to get the fear out of one another. Like, we're also afraid. All these wars, it's all because of fear. And we need to go back to love, right? So I hope that more and more people will start to feel that, and you're helping. So thank you. And I just wanted to say, you've said a lot, but I always ask this anyway. If there's just one thing you want people to know, if you had to pick, in summation, what would you want to say?
Well, the thing is, I want to say is that please, people, remember that we are in transition and everything is about vibration now. It's not about logic. It's not about if I do this and I do that, that's going to happen. It may happen, but not in the way you think it will, or it may not happen at all because the whole planet, the whole vibration of the planet has changed. So it's not about logic now, it's about vibration. And there's only two, low or high vibration. What is low vibration is fear, anger, judgment, hate, depression. Okay, regret. This is all low vibration. And low vibration makes things work difficult if they work at all, and it's bad for your health. And high vibration is joy, love, laughing, smiles, at nature, animals, babies, creating of any kind is high vibration. Okay, gratitude. These are all high vibration, laughing. Okay, and what does high vibration do? It's going to make things work easier. It's going to bring all kind of goals you have for life to happen quicker. It's going to bring more money and more success. And the doctor will tell you if you laugh more, it's great for your health. So this is important what vibration we're on. Okay. And it's not about being perfect. It's about knowing what to do if you find yourself on low vibration. And I always suggest you make a list of 10 things that automatically make you happy. And the first should be nature. If you live near a park, a lake, or a tree, you sit underneath the tree for 1 hour, your vibration will rise automatically. You don't have to do anything else. 9 of the things will be personal to you. Could be your favorite ice cream, funny movie, friend that makes you laugh, could be a kitten, could be drawing, writing, music, could be a cartoon, or could be a good book. I have the same list that I'm telling you about. My number 2 is Bugs Bunny. So if I feel, if I wake up in the morning and I feel fear about the world, about the government, about food, about the weather, that's my emotions telling me, hey, Dennis, you're going on low vibrations. Fear is a low vibration. What are you going to do about it? I look on my list, I pick number 2, I watch Bugs Bunny for 15 minutes, and I'm laughing my head off, and I'm back on high vibrations. And this is what I suggest to the listeners to be aware of vibrations and be aware of your conversation and your thoughts. Stay away from low vibration conversations because this transit is extreme. Because as we go higher, it's showing more of the darkness. The darkness doesn't hide anymore. These people, these leaders, they all telling you what they're going to do, whether it's wrong or right. They're just telling you right in your face. They're not hiding. Okay. But the planet Earth is actually getting better. It is not getting worse. But the people who are on low vibration on a planet that on an Earth that's rising in vibration, they're having more problems, more trouble because they cannot stay on this planet Earth that's rising. A negative and positive battery can't stay together. They're going to separate. So it's important that they know we are in transition. Okay. And as be as often as you can on high vibration. It's not about being perfect. It's just about knowing what to do if you find yourself on low vibrations. That's what I want to say.
Thank you, Dennis Bullock, so very much. Are you currently taking new clients to work
Y-
with or yeah,
Yes, I'm doing an Egyptian retreat in
that's right.
October from the 13th of October to the 20th of October. Now, 4 nights will be on a ship with 5-star rooms. You'll be on the Nile River. There will be meditation, yoga, holistic breathing. There'll be energy reading, healing sessions. And also, you'll be taken to very special energy sites all around Egypt. And there'll be balloon rides in Egypt also. That's 4 nights on the ship now, and another 3 nights in a boutique hotel in front of the Nile River where I'll be performing. Okay, music.
Awesome.
I'll be playing saxophone, singing. Okay. And the same thing will be going on. You'll be going to different major energy sites, portals, and you'll be experiencing yoga, meditation, holistic breathing, all of this for 8 days in Egypt.
Amazing.
Okay.
What a
So I
dream.
wanted to tell everybody, and you can reach me at, which I'll send to your email, truthenergyreadingswithanis.com.
Okay.
Okay, and my email is easybullock@hotmail.com, which I'll send to you so you'll
This
have
I'll put
it
it
in
in
your
the I'll put it below.
prescriptions.
But this is
Yeah,
good in case somebody is visually impaired or something. So thank you for reading it
yes.
out loud.
And
Um,
also, one more thing. If you take a session with me, you get a discount. And if you become a member, a silver member, a gold member, you get a discount on the Egyptian retreat. Just that you know. Okay.
Thank you for everything you're doing. This has been so I don't know, life affirming, and thank you for taking the time. This is one of the most profound experiences I've had in an interview, just with everything coming, all the pieces coming together in a way that really I feel like, you're always growing spiritually and you're always having new experiences. And every day I'm like, and now this, and now this, and now this, and I'm building upon everything. But this really kind of was like, again, like one of those full circle moments of, yes, I see that I feel like I'm on the right track. We're in flow. And it just means the world that you showed up today. So thank you so very much, Dennis. Look forward to being in touch with you soon and seeing what's next for you.
Yes, and as Shannon, I want to thank you for having me on your show and for the work that you're doing and opening up to people the everyday mysteries of the world and of life and of the spiritual realms to help people better navigate life in this transition we're experiencing. And for sharing this knowledge with everybody, I want to thank you for the work you're doing and for having me on your show to share with your public.
The pleasure is all mine. Thank you.